We started off with a series of conversations about our experiences of being women, of being women of colour, women with disability. How do these experiences impact on us? What has been the lasting effect of it on us? So we spent like the first 3 days doing that. And then from Monday through to today, what we've been thinking about is what does the whole thing now look like? We did some writing, so we wrote on Monday. Just giving particular experiences based on some of the themes that had come up from the first 3 days. And then yesterday and today we've been looking at the form of it. So what does all of this mean? How does it look? Who is the audience? Where are they seated? What are we doing around the audience in the space? What is the lasting thing that we want the audience to leave with?
Well, this is a very new experience for me because I've used my own experiences as source material before, but never myself personally relaying it to an audience. And there's a much more vulnerable aspect to doing that. I'm not a performer. I'm a filmmaker by trade, and there's a wall of protection that allows me. And so, opening myself up to share these experiences, which I don't think are unique to me. I think a lot of people go through this, and that's something that I've learned through this as well, working with Khadija and with Pauline, especially, has really allowed me to sort of get in touch with maybe some of the emotions that are hidden behind that wall that I haven't really explored before. So it's been a very interesting experience for me.
Well, the politics of this play is quite complex in the sense that you're dealing with the issue of white male and privilege, or white male privilege, and actually breaking that down and really trying to get a sense of what that means. And initially in the beginning, I thought I knew what that was. I thought I live this every day. Surely I can just say it in a few sentences. And the more we really delved into examining what that was through language, the written word, the visuals, the more it became quite complex in the sense of what does that actually mean? Who gives privilege, where and when? So when we start to look at the performance aspect of that, it becomes quite interesting in terms of how we begin to break down those areas. And it's theatre, and theatre is for all people. That's what I believe, and it's a really interesting way in which to tell a story, give a narrative, a sense of what's really happening in society. And theatre's always been about that. And so as we begin to delve into the narrative of what white privilege is, or white male privilege is, it brings out all these stories in which become quite personal to you and personal to the collective of people that are working on this. So it's been quite interesting for me in so many different ways. It's got me thinking and really observing a lot more my surroundings. It's got me thinking about how it affects me on a personal basis, not just in my household, but mentally and physically as well.
Okay.
What's been fascinating for me really is the cast have been sharing quite a lot on Facebook about making the show. And one of the things that's become incredibly noticeable is the kickback. Really quite profound, sometimes quite angry kickback about whether what we're talking about even exists. That's been kind of fascinating to ponder on, to deal with, and to kind of find ways in which we incorporate that in the show. So we have been working on the idea that maybe that privilege is the absence of other people's experience. And kind of got me pondering quite deeply about a lot of the political discussions that I've both been involved in and have seen via social media, and what strikes me, and I don't think I'm any different to anyone else, is maybe what's happening at the moment is a fairly massive collective failure of imagination around other people's lived experiences. and we only seem able to consider ourselves really profoundly. So in a sense, what we've been exploring is very, very sort of particular, personal, lived experiences during the show, and presenting that and giving a space for an audience to consider what they wish to consider from